Today we turn to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 26 through 38. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Hail, O favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at the saying and considered in her mind what sort of greeting this might be. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus. He will be great, and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give to him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." And Mary said to the angel, "How shall this be, since I have no husband?" And the angel said to her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, your kinswoman Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son, and this is the 6th month with her who is called barren. For with God nothing will be impossible." And Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And the angel departed from her. Amen. Let it be according to your word. Can we honestly, when God throws us a curveball like what Mary just heard, "Hey, guess what? You're going to be pregnant." Let it be according to your word, God. I don't know. I have a little bit of experience with that response, but I don't know if I would be as comfortable with it at the age that Mary was. And with other light things, let it be according to your word. For some of us, the things that God throws at us are not necessarily gifts of love, or at least not in the package we are expecting. Because that's what today is about. It's about love. It's about opening the gift of love and understanding that love is a much more complicated thing than warm fuzzies and rainbows and unicorns. It's not birthday cake every day. Sometimes love is hard. Sometimes love is complicated. Sometimes we don't recognize the love of God when it is staring us in the face. And yet that's the challenge of our faith as the people of God, is to see God's love in our presence each and every day. As a present each and every day. So I don't often use visuals, but this one was significant. I received an email this week. And so it was a story, you know those forwarded ones that some people love to send? I don't. But every once in a while you get one, you read it, because it doesn't have pictures. Thank you. But here goes. There's a story going around. It's called The W in Christmas, and of course the author is unknown. After a while, and most ministers will tell you this, the first time I tell a story I quote it. The second time it's kind of somebody unknown, and the third time it's mine. No. Well, this is this email. "Each December I vow to make Christmas a calm and peaceful experience." Who's laughing in their mind? "I had cut back on non-essential obligations, extensive card writing, endless baking, decorating, and even overspending. Yet still I found myself exhausted, unable to appreciate the precious family moments and, of course, the true meaning of Christmas. My son Nicholas was in kindergarten that year. It was an exciting season for a 6-year-old. For weeks he'd been memorizing songs for his school's winter pageant. I didn't have the heart to tell him I'd be working the night of the production, and unwilling to miss his shining moment, I spoke with his teacher. She assured me that there would be a dress rehearsal the morning of the presentation, and all parents unable to attend that evening were welcome to come then. Fortunately, Nicholas seemed happy with the compromise. So the morning of the dress rehearsal, I filed in 10 minutes early, found a spot on the cafeteria floor, and sat down. Around the room, I saw several other parents quietly scampering to find seats, and as I waited, the students were led into the room. Each class, accompanied by their teacher, sat cross-legged on the floor, then each group, one by one, rose to perform their song. Because the public school system had long stopped referring to the holiday as Christmas, I didn't expect anything other than fun commercial entertainment. Songs of reindeers, Santa Claus, snowflakes, and good cheer. When my son's class rose to sing Christmas Love, I was slightly taken aback by its bold title. Nicholas was aglow, as were all of his classmates, adorned in their fuzzy mittens, red sweaters, and snow caps. And in the front row center stage, they held up large letters, one by one, to spell out the title of the song. As the class would sing, C is for Christmas, the child would hold up the letter C. Then H is for happy, and so on, until each child spelled out the complete message. The performance was going smoothly until suddenly we noticed her. That small, quiet girl in the front row holding the letter M upside down, totally unaware that her letter M appeared as a W. The audience of 1st through 6th graders snickered at this little one's mistake. She had no idea that they were laughing at her, so she stood tall, proudly holding her W, and although many teachers tried to shush the other children, the laughter continued until the last letter was raised, and we saw it all together. A hush came over the audience, and eyes began to widen, because in that instant we understood the reason we were there, why we celebrated the holiday in the first place, and why even in the chaos there was purpose for our festivities. For when the last letter was held high, the message read loud and clear: Christ was love. I read that story and I loved it, because of course it makes sense, right? You see it. Christ was love. But then the more, of course, my ministerial mind got to dwelling on this beautiful and wonderful sentimental message, I think that we failed. Because we focus too much on was, and if anyone who ever has taken English, was is a past frame of mind. So what about today? Because for me, it is not Christ was love. It is Christ is love. But Christ is doesn't exactly sound very good as a national holiday of some sort, although I have found in this past week that perhaps we've sold out Christmas to consumerism. Don't go to Hobby Lobby. It's not fun. Think about it. I asked a question on my lovely Facebook world page, which I know some of you do not look at, and I'm okay with that. And others of you who do, I sometimes cringe in knowing what some people comment. I don't know. But I asked a question this past week. Can you celebrate Christmas and not be a Christian? The responses were varied, and I understood much of what came back. And my end thought process, my end result is that if we believe that Christ is love, then as Christians we cannot celebrate Christmas without Christ. There are a lot of things in and around this season that are not very Christ-like. One of my friend's comments was that it took part of why she left the church was that Christmas was exhausting, trying to figure out how everything related to Jesus. And my response was, well, not everything does. Unless you're a Christian. Because the first lens that we are not looking through is the love of Christ, and we have failed as people of Christ in celebrating this season. We look at Christ was love, and we focus on the was. It was in the past. Well, this is how we celebrate now. I made a pip about Hobby Lobby, and if anyone ever hears this sermon again, it's because I went in there to find something for the kids. They did so wonderfully at caroling. I looked for a special little gift of something because they had done so well, and Emma and I had promised, oh, if you do good, please just behave as we're going through these nursing homes. I will get you a nice little sticker deal. Well, I looked. And the reputation of Hobby Lobby and many other stores and the such is that they are not open on Sundays so families can worship. And yet I walked into the store to find something. A little nativity sticker, something, a star, I don't know. And I found nothing. In fact, I only found 2 shelves that still had the nativity scene still on them, and yet I found racks of other things. How do we show the love of Christ in this season? It's not about fitting it in. There shouldn't be any obligation to fit any of the traditions in. We give gifts because we received the greatest gift of love that has ever been found in this world. And because the Magi brought gifts to a king. And because St. Nicholas, many, many years ago, heard that story and thought, maybe I can bring joy to a child, and now we have Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is taking over. Now, grant you, it is a great thing to keep a kid in line throughout the 24 days of December, but what about the rest of the year? There are 356 days in a year. You cut out that 24, and you're left with some 320, I'm not in math, so 332. Yes, right? Don't quote me. If Christ is love, then how do we give that gift? It's not a gift of the past that we open on one day. It's a gift that we see each and every day. And we need to be conscious of it. We need to be aware of it. We need to be like Mary and Elizabeth and say, let it be to me according to your word. In the face of an unbelievable God, we are given the greatest gift. And that gift came as a child. The most innocent of things that we can imagine. This yay big. Fragile. Unable to change or challenge the world around them until into adulthood. So it is up to us as adults to put forth the body of influence so that they understand it. Now perhaps that's a burden for some, but it shouldn't be. Perhaps we do too much. I kind of wish I knew who the author was because of that story was, because she's saying wonderful things. I'm assuming it's a she. Maybe a he, I don't know. But, I mean, things like cutting out gifts, staying within budget, not not going overboard, not doing too many decorations, not feeling burdened, and yet somehow we still do. And it's a burden on us as a people of God to find the way to bring Christ into Christmas. It's not about the way it's written. It's not about the gifts. It's not about how we celebrate the traditions, whether we are in church on Christmas Sunday or not. It is about being Christ love. Because here's a handy thing. You can take all of that away. You can add any words before and after and in between. But the gift of love that came down is Christ. The gift of love that came down is Christ. And that's what this whole season is about. And if we forget to focus on that, if we forget the sight of that, if we are awed by the cuteness and the reminder of that, then we have lost sight of what it's all about. And that's okay. I'm not throwing the pitchfork of condemnation at you just yet. But I'm asking us to challenge ourselves to see Christ's love in everything. To not look at it as a past understanding, but a present reality. As Christians, that is our calling. We have 2 holidays a year, my friends. Christmas, the birth of Christ, and Easter, the death of Christ. So don't sell them short.